What's up, guys? Welcome to the Top Shelf Show. My name is Dustin Kinnan. We are so excited to have you here. On this show, we talk to high-quality entrepreneurs and business owners about life, about family, about work, about goals and dreams and everything that goes into being an entrepreneur. We are so excited to have you here. We hope you walk away with some incredible insight into their lives and their stories and some inspiration for your business and your brand and achieving the goals that you have for your life. Thank you so much for checking it out, and we'll see you in there.
All right. Well, guys, welcome to the Top Shelf Show. We finally decided on what the name was going to be. So today we've got Jay Brown with Limitless Fit. We're going to get into it. But before that, Jay, I don't even want to introduce you because you have so many things and like I want you to be able to do it. So Jay, what do you do? Because I feel like I see you all over the place.
Yeah. So what I do is I take human beings and I make them better human beings by providing them with bodies that makes them more impactful outside of the gym. That's what I do.
You know what I love? You know what I love about that? Like, so it's results. Like, and it's not, hey, I'm gonna like make you look better. It's like I want you to have a better life.
Right.
Okay. You've done this before. Like you've communicated this before.
Yeah.
How long have you worked with people? Like how long, like, cause this is obviously you, like that answer was not something that somebody like that's been doing this for 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Like would be able to give.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like there's a lot of thought that went into that.
For sure.
Have you always trained? Like kind of walk me through like your like journey towards like working with people.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of go back to the origins of where fitness and the passion for health and helping people come from. I was, in a lot of disciplinary trouble as a kid. I started getting in trouble and sent to DJJ at 11. So I was one of the youngest people in Union. I locked up for about 4 months. And then every year from that point on until I was 18, I spent some form of institution. I was in some form of institution for about 6 months a year. And I was just a troubled kid. I grew up in pretty severe circumstances. My father wasn't around. Grew up in drugs, started at a very young age. Rolled with a lot of gangbangers at a young age. So that's all I was really exposed to. And I ended up in something called shock incarceration, which is an SCDC program where they brutalize you for 90 days. So I actually spent 4 months in prison at 18, and then I got sent to a boot camp for 3 months. And in that boot camp is when I realized that underneath extreme physical duress, I tended to thrive. But what I really found out was I needed male figures. So they took one person from every branch of the military and they skull drugged you for 90 days. But seeing real men, strong men who did not care that I thought I was something that inside I really wasn't, they would just beat you down. But I needed that to be built up. So I started getting awards there. My mom was freaking out. She's like, I don't understand why you can keep going to Marine Institutes or you go into these situations and you continue to do well, but then you come back home and you don't. So I fell in love with fitness and I went out, at that time I was on parole. I had a 5-year sentence of parole, and to keep myself occupied when I wasn't working third shift and long hours, I would work out in my grandma's backyard. Yeah. So it became therapeutic. It was my way of dealing with life. And then I quickly realized that a lot of my friends who also were struggling with major drug addictions and such, that I could use fitness to help them out as well. So I was bringing them back there and working them out. So I think personal training just made sense, even though I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So there's so much there that I love. I don't even see that every time I talk to you, I don't know where to start. Okay. First off, I think, what you said about the, like, I'm going to paraphrase, but the, like, under duress, like you needed that, to be put in that situation, like doing hard things. And I think there's probably honestly more of a conversation that we can't even have today, around, like, I think as men, honestly, you need that. I think so many people, they shy away from challenge. Like they shy away from hard things because it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to whatever. When the reality is the best version of yourself is on the other side of that. And it's not necessarily like doing hard things for the sake of hard things necessarily, but it's like intentional situations and hard things that are meant to make you better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously like working out physical, that's definitely a pretty obvious one, right?
Right.
But and this is cool because this kind of leads into something else I definitely wanted to ask you about. But there's other like areas of life too. You know, there's the mental, there's the nutritional, there's like this integrative. Like it's not. It's not. It's like if you had a stool with only one leg.
Right.
That's not gonna work. Like
No.
it's not. You know what I mean? Like you need these multiple parts. So we'll get to that in a second because I do want to ask you about that. But love that of like the going through the hard things. This is just more just because I just love this. What did it mean for you to be able to like help your friends? Like, and the vehicle of helping them was the same thing that was able to help you. Like, you know what I mean? So like, rather than like, you being on the helped side, if you will, you know what I mean? You were able to turn around and take the same thing that helped you and be able to impact other people with that.
Yeah. What was absolutely amazing is I didn't realize that I could actually help people. You know, you kind of get this insecurity to where you feel like because of all the mistakes that you made, that you were not somehow worthy enough to actually be able to make that impact. But when I seen that, it allowed me to do a 360. And what's crazy is the 360 happened after about 8 or 9 straight years of being institutionalized. Like if you look at the data and the statistics of return, like, especially in the YOA sentence, the return rate was astronomical. Like I was one of like 10 people, every 10 people, one person did not return. Like it was just, they call it a baby life sentence in the state of South Carolina. You should look that up. The Youth Offenders Act. It's a 1 to 6 year guideline and called a baby life sentence. So the fact that I was not returning, the fact that I was able to get off parole in 1 year, 4 years early, right? That was already going against the grain. The fact that, despite not having a father figure, that I was able to rise up and to learn what that started to look like and that I wasn't going to allow my mistakes to define me anymore. So then those insecurities will sit there and allow my friends to not capitalize on any opportunities. Now, mind you, at this time, I had a terrible career. I was working overnight, stacking boxes, making $7.75 an hour. It was miserable, but I felt amazing because I wasn't selling drugs. I felt amazing because I wasn't rolling around with gangs anymore. So I was like, I think I can pull you out of this. If I can, you can. And that's where that mantra really started to get birth is I can do it. You can do it.
Yeah. One is like I feel like there's this mental shift that had to happen first of like, you had to believe that you could do it and that you weren't defined by your past. Like it wasn't like, because I've always done these things, this is all I can do and this is all I know how to do. And like, I would almost call it like victim mentality.
Yes.
Of like, I'm here and I'm stuck and this is my situation. And because it's my situation, I'm never going to be able to get anywhere else. And because of that, I just have to just keep doing this because I'm just stuck here. You know what I mean? Versus like seeing, like you said, seeing an alternative, seeing like, hey, just because this is where I'm at now, it doesn't mean that's where I A, have to stay, or B, where I'm always going to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I love that, dude. Okay. So, that's, I love hearing your story every time you tell it. I love it. Okay. So that was kind of getting into training. And then now, I touched on this earlier, but you're not a physical trainer. And I think what the context of what most people would think a trainer is, where it's like when they think physical trainer, they think, oh, it's some guy at the gym. I'm going to show up and he's going to like run me through some exercises and then, okay, I'll see you next week. Like that's not what you do.
No.
Talk a bit about that. I know like I kind of touched on the nutrition and the integrative, but I really it's going to sound way better when you say it.
For sure. So, despite using fitness as a therapeutic form and to help some of my friends, that really was not the pinnacle time in my life. The pinnacle time in my life is whenever I found faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. And that was at the age of 24 years old. So from 20 until about 24, I was still very confused on life. I was still exercising. And actually that was the only consistent thing that I had in my life. Everything else was extremely damaged. But when I met the Lord, that's when I realized that all of this was purpose. So it no longer was a thing I did. It was like, no, I was suited for this. I was built for this. The resilience that I have is so that I can exuberate that resilience or teach other people that type of resilience. So that's why my training is completely different, because I realized that I'm dealing with a human being who feels, who struggles, who hurts, who may not slept well last night, who has been bombarded with a mass amount of information that may or may not be correct, who has been told that they're ugly or they're fat or they're weak. So I have to break through barriers that is much more than just building a bicep. Yeah. And then I realized that I got way more fulfillment by building those people up than I did by making a person look better. Yeah. So I chose this niche. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world. I don't get a lot of soapboxes. There's not tons of PRs, but it does make people better. And that's what I'm in the business of doing, is making people better.
Yeah. When it's like, what's so funny is hearing you talk about like your story, right? There was so much that had to happen with you before the physical part was even touched on, like was even a thing, you know what I mean? And what I love about what you just said, and what's cool is having seen you in action with people, like you're 100% right, because there's this mental aspect that like, if you don't address that, if you don't work on that, if that's not a part of the conversation, then I would argue like you could have the most like physically fit person. Like, I mean, the BMI is perfect and the muscles are toned and just all the things, right? Like you could check every box on the like ideal physical form, whatever thing. But if that person mentally isn't where they need to be, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Who cares? Right. Like, because they're a really good looking, miserable person. 100%. You know what I mean? Like versus someone who isn't maybe at the, call it like peak physical condition. Yeah. But you know what? They're happy, they're motivated, they're fulfilled in their life, and they're taking care of themselves. And they're working out, they're, you know what I mean? They're building their bodies, but like, that's a much better human being.
Right.
You know?
He's well-rounded or she's well-rounded, right? And she's living for something or he's living for something much bigger. Yeah. And I think that's what I try to get people to do. There's nothing wrong with having those small goals. I mean, if you want to lose some weight, if you want to get in those pants that you haven't been in forever, I think that's fantastic. But if you do not quickly find something much more, a bigger reason, so to speak, to live for, then that's going to fizzle. It's going to fade. And you're going to go through the same type of yo-yo approach that most people that I deal with go through. And that's what we try to get you to avoid.
Yeah. Well, even on the personal like side for me. So I grew up, I ran cross country and track in high school. So I mean, I was like going to state competitions. I won state my team won state senior year. Went to college on a cross country scholarship, whatever. But basically got to college and I ran for like 3 months in like the fall and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And really what it was, when I think back on it, it was the shift of when I was in high school. I don't want to say I had a coach over my shoulder the whole time, but kind of, honestly. I mean, genuinely, they were a lot more like, you have to come to practice every day and you need to run and you need to, like, there was very much like, hey, you're a high schooler and we're going to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. And when I got to college, and maybe it was just my coach's style, but he was a lot more hands off. So it was a lot more like, hey, you need to go out and do these runs. You need to go out and do these things. You know what I mean? And I just didn't have a reason to, honestly. Like I just didn't want to do it anymore, you know? So anyway, so I stopped running after like first semester, or I guess I ran a little bit in the second semester, but after freshman year, I was done. And I don't know, and that would have been 2011, fall of 2011. And I don't know that I had actually worked out consistently until this year, genuinely, since then. So, I mean, call it 14 years, something like that. Yeah. And really the catalyst for like starting to work out again, I do a lot of rucking now. Yeah. And the catalyst for that has honestly been the why behind it, because I've had, like what you said before, the yo-yoing, like if you don't have the reason, you're just gonna whatever. It's like you were sitting in the gym with me for the past 14 years. Because even when I was in college, like they had a gym on campus and I would go for like 2 days or something, or a week maybe, you know what I mean? Right. And even like after like graduated, I was going to the YMCA or whatever, and I would go for like a couple days, but then I would have, oh, I'm tired this morning, or oh, I'm too busy, or oh, whatever, you know what I mean? And I didn't have a reason of like, hey, this is why this matters. This is why I need to go do this thing. And even and fitness aside, even like nutrition and like taking care of yourself and meditation and like doing these other things, like when you don't have the why, you're just not going to see it through because it's not going to matter to you. That's right. It doesn't,
actually, I would argue it doesn't even make sense to you. It doesn't make sense to continue to do it. Yeah. You don't, because you may not see instantaneous benefits. And some of that stuff is long term. And some of that, so it's like broccoli. I'll give you an example. No one eats broccoli and then feels like they can just take over the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But like on a cellular level, on a micro level, it's
Yeah.
doing wonders for your body. So
Yeah.
we have to get away from wanting to feel instant gratification and
Yeah.
try to live for something more delayed.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I literally, as you were saying that, I was like, that makes so much sense of why it's probably so hard for people, because like stepping out of like just integration, fitness, wellness, like just societally, right? Like we've got cell phones and we've got next day or day of delivery or next day delivery or whatever Amazon's on now. Like we've got, it's like so many other aspects of life are so like, yes, you want it right away. Here you go. Here's DoorDash. Here's da 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 da. And then there is nothing like that when it comes to personal development. It just, and that's a good thing. That's not like, we don't want that, you know? So it's like, I feel like that's probably, wow. I'm not gonna lie. Literally, like, as you're saying that, I'm like, that really makes a lot of sense. It's like, that's probably why it's so hard for people, is because we live in a world that is so bent and moving towards instant gratification.
Yes.
And this is there probably are other places of it too that if we thought long enough we could name them, but this is at least one of those areas of life that's just not like, and it's just definitively not like, there is no such thing as instant gratification when it comes to personal development, no matter what it is.
But the outcome is pretty severe. Like the implications are pretty severe. This is why I take it as serious as I do and as passionate, because I'm talking about human life.
Yeah.
And it may be the difference between you spending the last 10 years of your life dependent versus independent. Or you've been able to do vacations with your grandchildren. You've been able to go out there and run races with your children. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. And you don't miss those things until you don't have those things. So I'm trying to get people to appreciate those things on a kinetic level so that they can appreciate what can come out of it. Yeah. It's like, what do you want to do? What are you not able to do? How do we get you to doing what you're not able to do? That's it. Yeah. And it looks different. It's unique and it's very individualized. And that's kind of what we do that is what we do at Limitless Fit, but that's the summation of my life and my career.
Well, and I love that it's even like the looking at like the physical part specifically, right? Like, not, I wouldn't say like ignoring the integrative, but like, hey, like talking about just if someone needs like to be like needs the development to help physically. I love that it's goal oriented and it's not like, so thinking like, I mean, like I've got Ollie, you have one daughter, right?
I have 3 girls at home.
Girls? I think she's one. Okay, 3 girls.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters.
Yeah. So like Ollie, he'll be 1. Yeah. We're recording this right before July, so he'll be 1 like in a week, in a couple of days, which is wild, absolutely crazy.
That's went by fast.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and like I think about like him when he used to be a baby, or I guess he still is a baby, but like smaller, potato-sized baby, and you know, like he was, I don't know, like he was 8 pounds and 6 ounces when he was born. He is not 8 pounds and 6 ounces anymore. Yeah. And he's also like, now he's starting to crawl and walk and like do those things. And so now it's like, oh, like he really likes to be like thrown up in the air and like tossed onto a pillow. And like, I mean, I don't like throw him on the pillow to be clear, but you know, like a gentle toss and like make sure he's fine and stuff. But like, and I can throw him around and do the stuff now. And it's like, but that thought has crossed my mind of like, oh my gosh, like and really there's a lot of gratitude when I think about it, because it's like I started working out again and like really being consistent with it in about December. So about 6-ish months into Ollie's life. And I'm really thankful for it, because it's like, I know that like as he gets bigger and as, you know, tossing him up on the couch or tossing him up or throwing him on the couch or whatever, like as that transitions to, hey dad, let's go race. Hey dad, let's go throw a ball. Hey dad, let's go do this. Hey dad, let's go ruck together. Hey dad, let's go do these things. I'm going to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Yes. And then thinking like beyond Ollie, you know, when there's hopefully grandkids or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I want to be, that's who I want to be, you know what I mean? And the last thing I would want is for like my fitness or like the state of my body to put me in a position where I just can't.
Correct.
And it's like, as much as I would love to go hang out and play with you and do the things and whatever, instead I have to sit here and just watch you play.
Right.
You know what I mean? And put on a smile.
Yes.
When internally there's at least a part of me that's like, this sucks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's where I want to be and I can't, you know?
Yeah. There's a couple of things that I can draw from that. Number one, I think this is why you have to have a reservoir of energy. And I just did a presentation about this earlier today, magnetic health.
You killed it, by the way.
Appreciate you. Thank you. That's very important to me too. You've been able to be energetic enough to where you not only serve your customers, but you go home and you're present with your family is equally as important to me. So you don't want to empty it all out there and not have anything for home because you're missing out a lot. That's a real cost. And another thing is we love to see training as a way of creating chaos, control chaos for clients to expose them to a variety of different types of situations so that they could become more adaptable to those situations. So when they arise outside of there, they're more likely to be able to overcome that. Yeah. So it's not you coming and doing the things you're just comfortable doing. It's about doing the things you're not comfortable doing so that when discomfort comes in life, you're able to take it on. Yeah.
I love that. When it's like I love what you said, the controlled chaos. And what's funny is so even though like I started working out in December and rucking and whatever, like, I'm going to plug Netflix because I just think it's awesome and it's just really great. Netflix, for those of you that don't know, is a monthly, networking workout event. So they do it, is it every third Saturday? Is that what it is?
No, it varies based on like vacations and holidays and stuff like that. But once a month.
Once a month. Yeah. Once a month on Saturday morning. Yeah. And, it's different every week, or every month rather. But it's basically, it's just like it sounds. It's a group workout class with a networking component to it, which I think is it's just very unique, but also as somebody who is like being more physically active and wanting to do that, but also wanting to like network. Yeah. It's just great, you know? Mm-hmm. But all that being said, multiple times I've been at a Netflix and it's been challenging in a good way. Yeah. Where it's like, hey, like it's a bit more than maybe what I do on a daily basis. Yes. You know what I mean? And what I'm able to fit into my schedule easier with rucking. Yeah. But it's great because like I go and I have that experience and then it's like, okay, hey, like, and over time, like seeing how it maybe gets a little less hard every Saturday or every month, you know? But yeah, I mean, I love that controlled chaos because then you're kind of preparing people, like they're not like, I don't want to say they're not ready for this, but like they're, you know, maybe where they're at, this is going to be a struggle for them, but hey, let's let them struggle in this controlled space. Yes. So that when we're not there to control the space, right, they're prepared for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And plus the dysfunctions tend to arise whenever we put them underneath variability. So in other words, it's also an opportunity for some of their struggles and weaknesses to show themselves so that we can address those as well. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. If I just sit you down on a machine and tell you to push something up and down, I mean, there's not much I'm going to be able to see. Yeah. I don't need to see that. What I need to do is see how your body acts whenever you go to push your ottoman across the room and you don't throw your back out. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, and then, okay. So, Netflix and then definitely, personal training. And then, what else? Like, cause I don't know how I want to bring this in. Cause you're also involved with, I know I've at least seen jujitsu. Yeah. I don't know how I would classify Muso movement, but like
boxing and Muay Thai.
Muay Thai. Okay. Yeah. Boxing, Muay Thai, movement, is probably like, I don't know how I'd categorize Muso movement. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you do that. But you're involved in these. What I love is like you have obviously what you do with training with people, but then I see you all the time. I don't know. You're training yourself, like you're putting yourself in these other areas to grow. Yeah. Can you speak to those? Yeah. Like what? Like why you want to do them? Yeah. Like yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah. The getting into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a podcast in and within itself. Yeah. But it has been one of the best things that ever happened to me, developmentally. Okay. It puts you underneath some duress and pressure that you just cannot feel anywhere else. And when you survive some of those situations, your tire blowing is a very simple thing to deal with. So I'm a big proponent of, people doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I boxed for a few years prior to doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I've always loved to take care of myself. I think there's power and confidence in self-defense. And especially as a father who has nothing but women in his family, it's very essential for me to be able to take care of my girls. And it's also important for me to teach my girls how to take care of themselves. My daughter is now working on her 22nd hit of her combination that we work on every single night before I lay her down. So it's prayers, and then it's a combination and series of punches and kicks that she has been working on at 7 years old. So,
what is I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so it's hit after hit, kick after kick, duck after duck. That is in a logical progressive way. Okay. So it's so jab, jab, cross, hook, switch kick, duck. It's just you'd have to see it. Yeah. That's one of the reasons. Another thing, I believe every coach needs a coach. I have always sought out coaches to see my weaknesses and to expose me to something I wouldn't expose myself to. And when I met Sean, it was an instant connection. We agree on almost every single aspect of movement. I don't like things to be put into a box. Neither does he. I don't care about looking ridiculous. I do a strength-based gymnastics. I'll swing kettlebells around. I do handstand and animal crawls. I'll do bar work. And so it doesn't matter. It's about like trying to be as strong as I can through 3 dimensions of space. I also believe in heavy lifting. I also believe in powerlifting. I think they all have their spot. And I think you just need to know where that is. So I do martial arts 4 times a week. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, fundamental Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So if anybody ever wants to learn basic components, I teach that as well. So that's what I do.
Okay, so I'll touch on that, but I want to, one thing really specific, because I just think it's incredible. What does that mean for you to like every day you're getting to share this thing that you love with your daughter, but also just thinking above and like kind of looping that back into like your story, right? Of like you didn't have a father figure. That was, I'm assuming, you growing up, you were not having prayers in jiu-jitsu.
No, nobody did that with me.
What does that mean for you to now be able to be that father figure that you didn't have and be able to have that experience with your daughter?
It's everything. I understand the importance of it. And, a lot of people aren't there to be present with their children because they use the excuse of them not having a father, or they treat women terribly because they didn't have anybody to model that. What I've learned to do is to look at what I needed, what I lacked, what was very important for me that I did not receive, and I give that to my girls. That's how I do it. There's no book or manual on it. I'm there. I show up. I'm present. It is what it is. Yeah.
I love that. As you were talking, I was like, that. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. We could cut right now. I love that. Okay. Absolutely love that. Well, and then, something else you said, every coach needs a coach, right? I think that's great. And that's something, what's really funny. I didn't plan it this way, but, almost not every episode, but almost every episode of this, when I've sat across with business owners and professionals and people, like coaching, like having somebody that's like outside of your lane, that's like looking at quote unquote where you're going and helping kind of adjust and stuff. I think it's huge. It's
mandatory.
Did you always feel that way? Like, did you always know you needed a coach, or
no,
how did that process?
I've never had a mentor. Okay. Like, I've never had someone that I really considered a mentor. It's insane to say that, but it's true. I've tried to seek it out a couple of times. It really didn't work out. I tried to seek out some father figures, and that never really worked out. So I've had to learn through a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes, and that's how I tend to learn. So when I met Sean, it was a great way. I had goals. I knew I wanted to. I had never taken Muay Thai before. Let me rewind. I had never taken Muay Thai before. So I was brand new to a kicking art. Okay. And this was 10, 11 months ago. I mean, to get my hips in that type of situation, and it's good for youngsters, but heck, at 39 years old, that was kind of, I felt
easy. I'm 32.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man.
Like, I don't want to be old just yet.
Like the real ones know, right? Like, but I did it because I felt like a white belt all over again. And Sean is not afraid to look you in the eye and to tell you what it is without any fluff. I respond well to that. And he does it a little bit more abrasively than I do to my own clients, but it's a good place. So I'll give you an example. In Muso, girls don't get on their knees to do their push-ups from the beginning. You do full push-ups. I don't care if it's one full push-up, you do a full, and stop calling it a girl push-up. And so it's for a certain type of person for sure. But I get a lot of it because he pushes me to limits I've never been pushed before. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny that you talk about like that, having somebody to, not be mean about it, but just be very
Real.
truthful. Like, hey, this is just is what it is. I was before this, actually, I was having coffee with a friend, and that was something we were talking about, was like having somebody there that like is just going to, not in a loving, kind, respectful way, hey, this is what it is. And I feel like this is what's really funny, is this is a total departure from personal development and physical fitness and things, but it's important, where it's like having people in your life that can look at you and be like, hey, this is what it is. Like, this is, and I would almost even, or not almost, I would say there's a love in that, of like, hey, I care enough about you, and I respect you and want you to succeed and want good things for you, and like all of that enough that I'm going to be honest with you, that I'm just going to tell you like, hey, this is how it is. This is the situation. This is what it is. And then you get the opportunity to respond to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's the, like, kind of talking about like, kind of looping in what we were talking about at almost the very beginning, where it's like having that, like, being under that pressure, you know what I mean? Like having that like opportunity to be like refined in that and going through those hard things. I feel like that's one of those hard things that, first off, I'd say a lot of people shy away from because they don't like conflict.
Yeah.
But then also sometimes sometimes it's the kindest thing you can do for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is let them know that this is what it is, because then if you don't, then you're depriving them of the opportunity to grow and learn from it.
Right.
Because maybe the only way they're going to know that that's happening is if you tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they don't know. And
Yeah.
they can't fix what they don't know.
I agree.
You know?
And there's been so many times that, let's just say with a new client, they'll
Yeah.
come in for one particular purpose or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they come out with a whole new understanding of some things that they need to work on.
Sure.
And all of that comes from me just being able to be real with them and say, this is not what I would work on first. This other thing is what we need to work on first.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a domino effect. Most people come in and they believe that they just need to build muscle. And I'll put them on InBodies. We do their body composition, and we realize, like, dude, you're in the 140th percentile of your age and your height with muscle mass, but yet you're in the 350th percentile with your body fat. We do not need to bulk you up. We need to shave you down.
Yeah.
So, but being honest with them in a loving way and say, look, I'm here to guide you through.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the hero. Like, you're the hero. I'm just the guide.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because then you're able to bring like a real, I don't know, like I say a real mission, but like be able to bring a real heart to it, because it's not, like you said, I'm not the hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm here to help you. I'm here to get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
But like, so when I hear like, I'm not the hero, I'm the guide, like and this is because I was a nerd growing up,
Mm-hmm.
but like I immediately think like Gandalf and Frodo in Lord of the Rings, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it's like, that's just immediately where my head goes to, of like, you know, you're not like, you're Frodo, I'm Gandalf, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reality is like there were parts in that story where like Gandalf told Frodo he was an idiot. And like, no, you don't need to do this.
Yes.
You need to do this.
That is a part of the CTA.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to call you to action, and that's probably going to involve me telling you that what you just did may not have been the smartest thing in the world.
But it's the kindest thing you can do for them.
I agree with
because
that.
it's like, otherwise you are intentionally, because reality is you know better.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that because this is what you do and you have the experience, you know that this is the direction they need to go in,
Yeah.
and they're going this way.
Yeah.
And it's like the kindest thing that you can do for that person is help them see what they can't see for themselves and help them go that way.
That's right.
And look, if you tell them to go this way and they still choose,
Yes.
then that's on them.
Yeah, so that is
their-
a disclaimer.
Yeah.
If you work with me, I tell you, if you listen to what I tell you to do, then I'll take full responsibilities. If you don't get your results, you can put bad reviews or whatever you want to. But if you do not listen to what I tell you to do, then you cannot do that. That is your fault.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I mean, because at the end of the day, like, you tried to help them and they just didn't want to listen.
Right.
And they, you know, like I don't know. I don't know. I think like, and it was, okay. So what's funny is how everything we're talking about is all interlinking, but that even thinking about it from like stepping out of like the physical training part into like more, like coaching, business development, kind of that realm of things.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing there.
Right.
Where it's like, you know, if you were coaching somebody or flip it, right? So maybe you're not the coach, you were the one being coached, right?
Yeah.
That's something I started working with a business coach in like March-ish.
I love it.
And there's been conversations where and he's a lovely guy, Spencer, you're great. Like he's not, I would say he's definitely very like gentle in like how he like, hey, we should really work on this, or hey, we should prioritize this and stuff. He has a great way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been conversations where it's like, I want to go do this thing, and I think this is what I need to work on, and I think this is whatever. And he's like, whoa, hold on. No, actually, what if we do this instead?
Yes.
What if we like, hey, I know you want to do this and that's not a bad thing, but we need to do these other things first. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about, like, hey, I want to walk in, I want to build muscle. Steady on, Tiger.
Right.
We need to building muscle is not a bad thing, but we need to trim this fat first, because otherwise you're just building muscle underneath the fat and it's just going to exacerbate the problem.
Correct.
You know, similar, you know, thing with me where it's like, hey, I want to go and do this demo reel and do this on the site and do da. And I think I want to say the whole first couple meetings that I had with him, it was nothing to do with like any of the things I thought we were going to be working on. It was, to be totally blunt, it was a lot of stuff that I thought we were wasting time. I genuinely thought, I was like, why?
I love that. I already like Spencer.
Yeah.
Because those are typically the things that most people need to work on before they ever try to embark on something. Yeah.
And it literally was like this. I never told him this because I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I literally was like, this is such a waste of time. This is so boring. I have so much stuff that I need to get to.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we did this. Like, I am in a much better spot to go get all these other X, Y, yada, yada things done.
Can I correlate this real fast?
Do it.
So for about 7 months, I've been working on my own training system. It's called the Adaptive Performance System, APS. And I've built it out into 3 tiers. And I'm always big on taking people through what I call restorative phase, which is phase 1. How long you stay in phase 1 is dependent upon how much you elevate and how much you progress, for sure. But I'm going to take you back through there because those fundamental movement patterns, those cross movement patterns, those crawling patterns, the developmental sequences are super important for you to be able to grease the grooves of being able to improve your movement overall foundation. If I skip you and load you, then I'm causing problems. And in 3 months, 2 months, your back is going to be all messed up. Your shoulder's going to be messed up. You're going to tell your cousin and your friends and neighbors that you have a terrible trainer, and I'll never ever receive any business. So I think that's very important, of taking people through the fundamentals and say, let's make sure we've crossed our T's and dotted all of our I's before we go, because now you'll be fully equipped to be able to take on whatever comes your way.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to correlate the correlation. There's a guy named Alex Hormozy, which I'm sure everybody knows.
Yeah.
He saw, or there was some clip of him on social media once. But basically what he was talking about was building a business, right? Because when I hear that, my first thought goes to building a brand or a business or things like that. And it's you can, if I sat, I think I'm paraphrasing, but basically what he said is if I asked you to build a tower, if I said, hey, you have 30 seconds and I gave you a stack of bricks and I said, hey, build a tower. Well, the fastest way to build that tower is just to stack them 1 over 1 over 1 over 1 over 1 over 1 and just go like that. The problem, you are only going to get so high before that thing is very unstable. It's not going to last. You can knock it over really easily, whatever, right? But that's the fastest way to build it. Now, what if we change the goal? So the goal is not to build this as fast as possible, to build it as strong and quickly, but to build it as strong as possible.
Durable.
The execution is different because now it's not stack. It's hey, foundation.
Right.
We need to go out wide on this thing because when we go out wide, it's going to take us longer. We're not going to go through it as fast. But when we get to that same height, you have a wall. And I don't know if you know anything about brick walls.
Yeah.
They don't come down easily.
Right.
They are a lot more steady, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel that
fortitude.
Exactly. Well, and hearing you talk about the process there, you're setting your clients up for, first off, success just in general, but also a way longer timeline of success, because it's not just about the short-term gains. It's the long-term wellness. It's the long-term results that I feel they're only going to see those results in that, call it the middle tier, where you do start more maybe what they expect from the training, right? They're going to see better results there. But also they're going to see better results even long after that because they have the foundation.
For sure. And to this date, I've not had an injury on my clock. So we're talking about multiple years of personal training without a severe injury on my clock. That doesn't happen. And a lot of my clients are long time clients. I mean, I got clients I've had for 3 or 4 years straight to this day. And there's a reason for that, because they use it preventatively. It becomes more of I'm going to avoid injury. I'm trying to become more resilient versus you putting me in situations that's going to cause me to get injured. Yeah. But I like that analogy of building the wider foundation and taking the time. I think that matters, so that when you are 60 years old, you're able to do the things you've wanted to do when you were 30. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, and it kind of loops back into what you were saying before of hey, the goal of the training, right? The reason why that person's there is it's not just they want to lift heavy things. It's there's this deeper why behind it. You know what I mean? So they want to be able to be active when they're older. They want to be able to spend a more active or interact more actively with their kids. They want to do these things, and like that's the why. You know what I mean? The vehicle is the lifting, the whatever physical thing they need to do, but the why is like that being in place is what drives or what it like empowers them to be able to go through the process of the training, but then also like that's going to be the thing that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like that's the there's a coach that I know, and there's a phrase that he has where it's I heard the phrase from him, but he might have gotten it from somebody else, but he's the person that I associate with it. But it's like the definition of done. You know what I mean? Like what is the definition of done?
Right.
You know? Or like what is the like, hey, we've achieved the goal, right? And it's like you achieve the goal not when that physical, when you lift the heavy weight or whatever, you achieve the goal when you get to play with your kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You achieve the goal when you are 60 years old, or like in the case of your long-term clients, you know, they're year over year, they're able to come in and they're able to like do this work with you, but then they're also able to go out and live their lives and do the things they want to do. And now it's just, like you said, it's preventative.
Right.
Now they're coming in because they want to continue to do the things and live their lives.
And a good coach is able to extract that why, right? And a good coach is also, instead of dismissing what a person wants to do, they find ways of peppering in what they need while giving them what they want. So that's the art of good coaching.
Yeah. Well, I now that you say that, I think there was a bit of that with Spencer. There really was. Cause like I very much was like, okay, hey, like I want to do this and this and this and this and this and this. He's like, okay, great. So you get to pick one of those and we'll do that. But also we need to like get these things sorted and figured out, because otherwise you're never going to be able to, not never going to be able to do these other things, but the execution of those is going to take so much longer. Your world's going to be on fire when you're doing them, and you're not really going to be able to enjoy them because everything else is going to be chaotic and crazy. Versus like, hey, when you have that foundation, then you can go and build the wall. Then you can go and do the things, but we got to build the foundation first, because otherwise it's just chaos, you know?
I've seen so many people go to the end of, let's say, retirement age or whatever. And they've spent all this time building all this stuff up, and they don't have the physical capabilities to even enjoy it. It is.
Yeah.
And so many, and this is another thing, reverse engineer. So if you see any of the elders, go and ask them what would they have done different. I think that's very important. I've done that a lot to a lot of people, and all of them say they wish they would have taken care of their bodies better. I've never had a person tell me that they wish they did not take care of their body.
Yeah. I wish I'd worked out a little bit less. Like I wish
No one says that.
Yeah.
They don't say they wish they had more money. They don't say they wish they had more cars. They wish they would have capitalized on education. They wish they would have taken care of their bodies.
Yeah. Well, cause like that's the thing is I would rather be, I don't know that I'd rather say I'd be a homeless person necessarily, but I would rather be somebody in a decent sized house with like a retirement. Like I'm not living some crazy life, but I can pay the bills and whatever, but I can move. Yeah. I can go out, I can go on a walk. I can hang out with my kids and my grandkids. Yeah. I can move and live my life. I would pick that
all day
over being a millionaire who has to be wheeled around in a wheelchair because I just can't move. Like I just can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I'm stuck. Cause then, well, and to be honest, that means I'm spending not all of my money, but I'm spending tons of my money, having to like, not adapt myself to my life, having to like modify my life.
Yes.
Just to exist. You know what I mean? And that's not living.
No. Or even spending time in the medical facilities, right? Where you're spending all this money and they're keeping you on all these machines to try to milk you for
and you're like alive, but you're
not
living.
alive. That's not living.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do, is bring life back to life. You know, it's a beautiful thing. And plus it's proper stewardship. It's taking care of what you've been given.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're kind of getting to the end. So I want to make sure I ask this because you've honestly been like probably one of my favorite guests. So I feel like you're going to kill this. No pressure. What I always like to do at the end is I always want to leave people with some value. To clarify, I think there's been a ton of value in this thing. Oh my gosh. I hope people were taking notes. But just for a more formal thing, what's something you would want people to walk away from this episode with, right? Like if there was one thing that they like, hey, I sat down, I listened or watched this or whatever, and this is what I learned. Like it could be a list, it could be whatever, I'll leave it open-ended, but what's something you want people to walk away with?
Reductionism smothers creativity. The moment you try to reduce everything down to an element without understanding how it works as a system, you're in trouble.
Okay.
So just working on powerlifting without caring about your mobility, just worrying about mobility without caring about your strength, worrying about strength without having no power or endurance, mocking people who run because you don't like to run or because you can't run. This is why you're not creative. The most creative people I've met in my life are people who understand why they are doing what they're doing and how to implement it together. So no way is the way. That's my tip for you. Do not have a way. No way.
Gotcha.
Explore and be willing to look like a fool because nobody really cares. They're not paying your bills.
Oh my gosh. Well, and the amount of times that I've been like really self-conscious about like, oh my gosh, people are looking at me. People are, they don't care.
Nope.
First off, they are I don't want to say obsessed with their own life, but they have their own stuff going on.
100%.
They have their own life. They have their own whatever. Yeah. And honestly, they're probably over there thinking the same thing. Like I'm in this proverbial corner thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me over whatever. No, they're not. They're all in their corners thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
They're all thinking like, oh, everybody's looking like we're all just in our proverbial corners thinking everybody else is looking at us when the reality is, no, they're not.
No,
they don't.
No,
care.
And if they do care, it's all for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. I'll do cartwheels and have fun while I'm doing them, and sometimes they look janky. And it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, well, I can't do a cartwheel, so there you go. Well, okay, so I do want to make one application of what you said of the the
reductionism.
Thank you, reductionism. I was like, it starts with an R.
Yeah.
Can you tie or like connect that with like integration of like the physical nutrition, like mental, like that? Because I feel like that's huge.
100%. If I got a penny for every time someone talked to me about protein or somebody talked to me about carb ratios, I'd be a very wealthy man. Stop worrying about macros and just individual micros and understand how it all works together. We have been provided with the foods that we need within a full form spectrum that does wonders if you just put it inside your body, right? Like, so I guess what I'm saying is we overcomplicate things that should be a lot more simplistic.
Sure. Nutrition
being one of them, exercising being another, movement being another.
Mm-hmm.
All exercise is movement, but all movement is not exercise. You taking a walk does not have to be a thing where you log it and get the most steps in or get a quickest pace for your mile. Sure. Take your dog out and enjoy the therapeutic setting of just being outside. That's what I mean by understanding that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. Well, and then sometimes it's like, it's not, if, I don't know, there's something I've really noticed, but honestly, it's kind of come out of coaching and different things, but I have a real default of like all or nothing. So like how it's shown up for me with like rucking is a great example. So Elizabeth works in his radio. She has to be there. She has to leave the house at 5 to get there at 5:30. So, and I know this about me just with my schedule and just me as a person, if I don't work out first thing in the morning, it doesn't happen, or it's very hard for it to.
Yeah.
So what that means is I need to go and I have to be done rucking before she leaves the house, because obviously I can't leave our 1-year-old son in the house, even if he's sleeping. That's not a good thing. So, good parenting. So I got it. So, but rucking, I'll usually go out for, I started off, I would do like a mile or 2 miles or whatever, but I started getting up to like 5 or 6 miles a day because I could, and I just really enjoyed pushing myself or whatever. Yeah. And it was just, I just loved it. The problem was to ruck 4 or 5 miles, 6 miles, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, it's going to take you a while, right? So to do it, I would have to get up at 3. I knew it. I'd have to leave the house by 3:15 to be able to have enough time to ruck before Elizabeth needed to leave for work.
Gotcha.
Problem is, that's 3 to 3:15 in the morning. Yeah. That's pretty early, right? So I would have days where like I wouldn't get up until 3:20, 3:30. Yeah, not the end of the world. I could still go ruck.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Right.
Because I was like, well, I can't go do the full thing. I can't get the full thing. But so it's a waste. It's whatever. I'm just going to go edit this other thing or work on this thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And what I realized in that, what I was missing was I could have just gone and rucked.
Yeah.
Would it have been the 5-6 miles? No, but I missed out on the 4 because I was worried about the 6. You know what I mean?
See, that's gold.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was one of those things that I didn't realize it until, I don't know, maybe like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that, because I was having a conversation with somebody, actually it was with Spencer, about it. And I kind of realized that I actually had a very similar approach when it would come to like editing, when it come to work, when it come to other things that I do, where I'm very much a all or nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. Like having standards and wanting to do things, that's great.
Yep.
But it's BBs. It's not
Right.
bullets. There is no silver bullet.
Understanding that the all or none or the all out type of mentality can just apply to whatever you do, even if it was just a portion of what you were doing, you were still locked in. Right. Like modular training. I love modular training. Setting a 10, 15 minute timer and doing some stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
So just be there, be present while you're doing that. You'll still get tons of benefit.
Yeah.
I know people that are in the gym for an hour a day, every single day, mindlessly and not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
I know some guys who only work out a couple of times a week and look fantastic and move fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's about being able to be present whenever you are there.
Yeah. Well, and that was the big thing for me, was like realizing that, like, even if I only like an intentional 30 minutes, right? Like even if that was all I could do that day,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, great. I'm going to go do that intentional 30 minutes, whatever,
Yeah.
was much better than if I just skipped and just didn't do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having the intentionality was like just better.
I love it.
But yeah, no, I forget how we got to that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one of the biggest things is like I don't know, just being, I'm trying to think of how I want to wrap this, but like just being intentional. And like that, having, whether that's with like the physical, whether that's nutrition, whether that's more the mental, because I know that's something that like I've or at least I've seen on your socials anyway, of like meditation and things like
yeah,
that. Like,
I do it, breath work, I do all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like having those things, even if it's, because I've even had that where it's, you know, I don't have 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just have 5.
Right.
It's like, cool, awesome. An intentional 5 minutes is
Right.
better than just nothing.
And the
because
biggest bang for your buck, right?
Yeah.
Find out what gives you the biggest metabolic return
Yeah.
and just let that be it.
Well, and then I don't know. This has been great. I don't even know how to wrap this thing. Okay, so I'm going to circle back to what you said, the reductionism. So, oh man, see, I'm blanking now. So reductionism, you don't want to reduce it to all these different.
It smothers your creativity. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Just
Thank you.
understand that it's about you as a whole human being and not just small elements.
Yeah. Well, and then so taking that and then kind of looking at like the nutritional, the physical, the mental. Yeah. And it's this holistic piece where like if you're only focused in on just one part of it and then a part of that part, like you're missing the whole, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I would even like to wrap, I would even like tie this back into what you said initially, or one of the first things about like, you have to have the why before you can do the workout.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because if you're so focused on this working out, well, that's a piece of you. That's
Yes.
a piece of that personal development, what's going to make you better. At the end of the day, you have to have like this why, this all encompassing why
Mm-hmm.
of like, because of this why, I'm going to go work out. Because of this why, I'm going to eat what I need to be eating and take care of myself on that way.
Yeah.
Because of the why, I'm going to take care of the mental part of me. Because of this, like, and if you don't have that, then you might see maybe some progress in these different areas, but it's going to be way less fulfilling. And it's also, I feel like, not going to be cohesive. It's not going to be like a structured movement towards being a better person. It's just going to be these one-off little
Right.
things, like this one-off, like, hey, I went to the gym once and I never went again, or hey, I started eating a little bit better for like a couple days, but then I just stopped because I got busy, or because I forgot to pack my lunch, or because I whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so reductionism, bad. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. So I teach jujitsu with using a constraint-based
Mhm.
style of training, which is task-based oriented, game-based. My clients use better motor patterns that carry over whenever they are able to see why that movement relates to a specific task.
Mm.
If I just show you a deadlift for the sake of teaching you a deadlift, it may not stick well and get carried over unless I teach you this is how we're going to pick these boxes up.
Love that.
So that is the importance of making sure you understand why you're doing your training.
Yeah. Well, and understanding like why this thing that you have is how it plays to like the sum of like your life and your development.
Yes.
And how is this going to, like, you need the why, but you also need to be able to connect what you're doing to the why of like, okay, hey, this is my why of what I do, but also this is how this micro thing that I'm doing is in pursuit of that.
Correct.
Yeah. No.
Why is the big picture, then the what and the how extends from it.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, well, I feel like that's a great place to cut it. So to recap, you need to have a why. You got to have a why of why you do what you do, of why you're developing yourself, whether that's physical, nutrition, mental, and then ultimately having, being able to tie what you're doing to that why, right? I feel like that's been the biggest thing today is like, it's not just physical, but that as a tangent, that's what I love about having conversations with you is the conversation wasn't like, oh, you can do this workout, you can do this lift, you can do whatever. It's very much this is how to be a better human being. And this is how physical training, this is how nutrition, this is how mental breath work, Brazilian, does it do all these things. This is how these things go into being a better human being.
Yes.
Not just looking better in a mirror, being able to lift a heavier weight, whatever.
Looking good will be a side effect.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Absolutely love that. So not reductionism, and making sure that you have a why, and making sure that everything that you're doing, you can trace it back to that why.
Yes.
Okay. Where can people find out more about you? So socials, website, all the things.
Yeah. So I'm working on my social media presence a little bit. Dusty gives me the thumbs up here and there. So it looks like I'm doing pretty good so far.
And when you're the thing that I love is you're willing to learn it, and willing to be like, hey, maybe the first thing you do isn't the greatest thing ever, but you keep pushing at it, which I love. Yeah. And also you're willing to look stupid doing it. Like you're willing to just like, hey, I'm putting myself out there.
Yeah.
And it's killer, man.
Authenticity is what I've been chasing. I'm just trying to be real.
That consistency is everything when it comes to social.
Yeah. So absolutely. You can follow me on social media. You can follow me at J Brown on social media, both Instagram and Facebook. You can also follow us at Limitless Fit SC, at Facebook and Instagram, and www.limitlessfitsc.com for the website to find out how you can work with us. We would love to have you there.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much for listening, for checking us out, watching the video. We'll be coming out with more episodes, bringing more people on, and we'll see you next time on the Shelf Life Podcast. Thanks, guys.
Peace out.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out the Top Shelf Show. We hope that you walk away feeling inspired by the stories, by the lessons that these entrepreneurs, these business owners have learned, and that they shared with us in this episode. We want to congratulate you in advance on the success that you're about to have in your own business, and we cannot wait to hear from you one day and possibly have you on the show. So be sure to check out the next episode, and as always, you can reach us on all of our social media platforms here. And thank you guys. We'll see you next time.